every 24 hours, just interest on her money. Now, them these white folks, they're not honest, they're not ethical, they're not spiritual, they're not godly, but they don't lie. See, we're going to war to protect our interests. And the real white folks on the planet, never had a job. Never had a job. And so it's that whole piece of what we tolerate. And God have kind of blessed us because the only thing that makes us a little safe, and we haven't had them do to us what they did in Germany with Hitler, is we don't have an honest demagogue in America. Hitler, with all his crazy, he was honest. He told us what he's going to do. He wasn't stealing money and all that. And so consequently, if we stop being frightened, stop being afraid, and then we sit here and know that the Wall Street boys determine what legislation, and you ain't gonna see a damn thing about it at all. We take stuff off of them that we wouldn't take off of each other, but that's okay. That's why I can't understand how you call yourself Christians and can be for capital punishment. Well, for two reasons. First, don't you know the state killed Jesus? So how can you cry over the crucifixion of Jesus and be for capital punishment? He was killed by the state. He wasn't run down by some drunken chariot driver. And if Jesus Christ came back, that's why I stopped. That's why I stopped going to my Baptist church on Easter. So I'm so tired of you black folks every week. Were you there when they crucified the Lord? You know, that's a cheap song to sing 2,000 years later. You wasn't there then, and most of you wouldn't show up now. And if Jesus Christ came back to America today and bugged the wrong people, they give him an electric chair. Then all us Christians be walking around with big chairs around our neck, right? How do you make the sign of the chair? How do you make the sign of the chair?
Now you said once, I saw in my research, you said once that you learned a lot about comedy in the church.
I learned everything.
Talk about that.
Well, first, I'm born 1932, right? And so there was no TV, just radio. And come out of a ghetto, never been around white folks. And so all the white comedians, they seem funny to me. But, you know, you young folks, you have to understand where you are today. I mean, I'm born 1932. We were so dumb, we used to listen to tap dancers on the radio. I mean, can you believe, especially you old black folks. Hey, old black folks, now, I don't know what's wrong with these young'uns. When we was their age, we didn't have to lock no doors. You didn't have nothing. I'm so poor and hungry and ragged when I was a child. The best day we had in our house was Halloween. That's the day you could wear your natural clothes. And everybody thought you was dressed for the occasion. Woo, look at Richard, got on shoes, look just like feet.
So, the church, we were talking about the church.
Well, we didn't have nightclubs in St. Louis. And the ones we had was blues and jazz. So there were no comedies. So when I hit it big and someone said, where did you learn your comedy? And I realized mine's not comedy, it's humor. And I learned the black church, black preacher. I can just speak for black preachers, white probably the same. Have a new sermon every week, 52 sermons, and don't have Hollywood writers. And never give the same sermon over. And they are funny. They don't leave the house to go to church to tell you jokes. It's just something when you into that zone. Like the funniest laugh you ever had in your life didn't come from no professional comedians, come from friends and relatives. You'd be laying all over on the floor. They tell the same jokes every Thanksgiving, the same way. The difference between being funny and being a comedian is timing. Timing. Huh? Well, why would you need timing if you talking from your spirit, from your heart? And so that's what I realized that Hugh Hefner, before Hefner brought me in,
he brought you to the Playboy Club.
Playboy, a Negro comic couldn't work white nightclubs. You could sing, you could dance, but you couldn't stand flat-footed and talk.
You were the first flat-footer.
First. Now, before that, when I look at the Bill Cosby's and the Richard Pryor, all these brilliant black comics, I think about in the last 100 years when we weren't permitted, how many of those did we waste? How many of them was there? And so consequently, before that, we was hustlers. Not negative. When the supermarkets won't let me sell my oranges in the supermarket because I'm Negro, I sit a stand up outside and say, it's called hustling. And then Hefner came through and said, bring your oranges in. Here. And if you go back and check the records, in those days, they always put Negro in front of my name, which didn't bother me. Negro comedian. Then when Bill Cosby came through, you see, because as long as you couldn't work a white nightclub and you was reduced down to hustling, funny, brilliant. And then when that door opened and we were able to work white clubs, then that changed from hustling to an art form. An art form. And what makes Bill Cosby so genius is the same thing that made Michelangelo, all the great artists, because he paint pictures with his voice, and you see it. There was no need for that before. And so consequently, the door is open now. White women, black women, Asian women, that one knockdown created what you see now.
What do you think of some of the comics that are coming along now?
I love them.
Chris Rock.
I love them. One of my grandchildren told me, if you go to the movie, Granddad, and the music too loud, you're just too old to be in there. Because, I have 10 children and 12 grandchildren, and I listen to them, and then I realize how dumb we were. I mean, February the 2nd is Groundhog Day. What's a groundhog? I go all over the world, been in every restaurant you can go to. I've never seen a groundhog on the menu. And if you don't eat it, it don't exist. But listen what they tell us. On February the 2nd, if the groundhog sees his shadow, you know the story, right? 6 more weeks of winter. Huh? Now, spring is March 21st. And when you get home, get your calendar and count from February the 2nd to March 21st. That is 6 weeks. Groundhog ain't got a damn thing to do with it. You see how easy it is? Have you white folks ever asked what is black on black crime? Huh? You ask a black person, what's black on black crime? Well, we tired of black folks killing black folks. And that don't bother you white folks? We tired of black folks killing white folks. Now, they didn't say they tired of black folks killing. But they tired of killing black folks. Then who be left? And if we all went to China tonight, who you think's killing Chinese in China tonight? If we go to Italy tomorrow, who you think's killing Italians in Italy? And if 98% of all white folks that was murdered in America last year was murdered by white folks, if y'all ain't talking about white on white crime, how y'all trick us to talk about black on black crime? You kill where you live. And if you black folk tired of black folk killing black, join the Urban League, NAACP, get with Jesse Jackson, push, get out here and join us and integrate this country. And I guarantee you, if I'm living over there in that white suburban neighborhood and my old lady make me mad enough to want to shoot somebody, I'm not going to get in my car and drive back to the ghetto. So, but all you have to do is just listen. Huh? They got all kinds of stuff on TV, but as long as it's these big corporate America putting it on there, turn on TV and they're talking about. I can't think of the pill they give for men.
Oh, Viagra.
No, the other one. Viagra is a 2.5 hour erection. This other one. Come on, help me, y'all know. See, Alice. Oh, yeah. White folk, you know what it is. Yeah. And if you white folk don't believe there's a difference between black and white, they tell you if you have a 4-hour erection, go to the emergency room. In my neighborhood, a 4-hour erection is called a treat. You go to the damn drugstore and tip the pharmacy.
Speaking of,
and they say erection right in front of you too. So my grandson, 4 years old, walked up to me and said, "Granddad, what's an erection?" I said, "Go ask your grandmother." That's why I said, y'all got to be careful about these sisters. He came back smiling. I said, "Well, what did she say?" She told me that she'll tell me later, but for me to tell you, she haven't seen one of them things around the house in years.
You were once 350 pounds. You once weighed 350 pounds, as I understand. You smoked 4 packs of cigarettes a day.
Every day.
You drank a 5th of scotch every day. You were having a good time.
Only reason I didn't do drugs was no room.
and look at you now. Obviously, something's happened. Something happened. What happened? What got you on that whole health kick? You created some wonderful nutritional products that really took off.
Happened here in Chicago. A black woman, way before anybody knew about the human body and what you should eat, named Dr. Fulton. She sent me, she had a health food store. You see, I thought good nutrition is whatever you was eating, if you liked it, it didn't run out till you got enough. And I thought bad nutrition is if it ran out before you got enough, that was bad nutrition. And it was funny, I drink a 5th of scotch every day and smoke 4 packs of cigarettes every day. And nobody ever called me a nut. When I went into health, they said I was a health nut. And I came up just like everybody else, you know, doctors, that's all I knew. This 98-year-old woman went to see the doctor. She said, "Doctor, my right knee hurt." I said, "How old are you?" He said, 98. He said, "That's why your right knee hurt." She said, "Doc, my left knee is 98 and it don't hurt." And it was that, and then trying things and seeing it and then feeling good. I mean, I didn't come out of no health family. And then one day, I realized I hadn't been sick. And then I went on a fast to protest the war in Vietnam. And I used to drink so much whiskey that I'd wake up in the morning and I couldn't move. Pain. I just had to run. Give me a cold Pepsi Cola or something. Fall across the floor. And then after about 18 months being a vegetarian, I didn't even know what vegetarian, I never heard vegetarian. Because back then, when I stopped eating meat, when you went to a restaurant, they gave the vegetables, it's called side on. You order whatever you want, the rest of it went with it. You coming in not gonna order this steak and talking about this side order, they wouldn't even wait on me. But 18 months, my sinus struggle left. And mine was so bad, if I moved within a 50-mile radius, I'd have a sinus attack. Now remember now, I'm still drinking and smoking. And then, 6 months after that, my ulcers disappeared. And that's why I slowed up and said, wait, it must be something to not eating animal product. And we call it, meat. No, it's called flesh. Meat is called the meat of the apple, the meat of the orange. See how they switch words on? The meat of the nut. The three strongest animals in the jungle, the gorilla, the elephant, and the rhinoceros, they ain't never ate nothing but fruit and berries. My problem was that once you do something that dramatic, all my black friends, they became scientists. How come you don't eat no meat? What do you do for protein? Well, when you love people, you can explain things to them and it gets through. I said, well, the three strongest animals in the jungle, the gorilla, the elephant, the rhinoceros, they don't eat no meat. Matter of fact, the meat you eat don't eat meat. See how simple it is? As a matter of fact, protein, there's a lot of protein in a steak. But cows don't eat steak. See how you have to do it? And then little by little, and then when I lost the weight, I'll be honest, I don't think I could have lost the weight had I not been fasting. I went 40-day fast to protest the war in Vietnam. And then I extended it to another 40 days. So I went 40 days on water, 40 days on fruit juice, and 40 days on fruit, and 40 days on water. And when I got through, I was 92 pounds.
Wow. Down from 350.
And I had stopped smoking and stopped. I didn't mean to. See, I advocate that people belong to AA to take a drink on the way because that other stuff ain't worked. That drink is the 13th step. And so what I did is, had I stopped smoking and drinking at the same time, then I probably wouldn't have been here now. Because I would have thought it was the smoking and drinking that changed. But I was smoking and drinking, and the only thing I had changed was animal product. Anything died starts decomposing. Decomposition is mucus and pus. You can retard decomposition by refrigeration. But is your stomach a refrigerator or incubator? So it speeds it up. I don't have no problem with how you eat. I have a problem with people who's ripping you off. Do not tell you. And it's hard for you to listen to somebody else when all the stuff you eat that's bad, your mother gave it to you, your church gave it to you, your state gave it to you. So why would you believe somebody else? And so when you sit and you look, are you all aware that nowhere on this planet that's not locked into some kind of money, financial aid with us, will take our food from this country because it's genetically engineered? And if you know anything about Europe, they call it Frankenstein food. Huh? And they will not take your potatoes because all white potatoes and red potatoes is genetically engineered. And there's a hormone in there that one day you'll find out about, but it might be too late. And none of them countries will use it. And the whole world's laughing at you now because it's a strange phenomenon that's going on. We don't understand up until this year, 98% of the folks died from the flu was 65 and over. Y'all been reading it? This year is different. This year, 87% of the flu deaths is 65 and down, with the highest number from 36 to 20. And all over the world, they laughing, saying genetically engineered potatoes. They're getting it from the fast food. Now let's look at it. China's the most populated country in the world. They've had 300 cases and no deaths. no fast food, no potatoes from here. Okay? India, populated, 37 cases. Russia, none, but you know how they lie. And so it's that whole thing. Now, 3 top killers in America. People ask me, I'm 77, right? They say, you look so well. How do you know when you're getting old? You know when you're getting old. When somebody compliment them beautiful alligator shoes you wearing and you barefooted. You also know when you're getting old when you go in a restaurant and order a 3-minute egg and they make you pay in advance. The number 1 cause of death in America is sleep deprivation. Number 2, dehydration. And number 3, lack of physical fitness. All of them are free, all of them is gift from the universe, but we don't have time. Then you have to pay a price. So I was telling my wife the other day, I'm 77, she's 72, and we don't have a prescription between the 2 of us.
Wow.
And that's, you know, that's, you know, and so if you drink the water and walk. This black woman came up to me and she said, you know, you say walk, but I got a bad leg. Walk bad. Walk the same way you walk when you go buy them lottery tickets. I'm sorry, you.
That's okay. It's just about time. I want to give the audience a chance to weigh in here and ask you a few questions. But so get ready if you have questions. We're going to have someone walking around the room with the mic. But I just want to go do a real quick riff with you.
Yes, please.
On some names, because you just know so many people and know so much history. And I just want to give me a line or 2 on each one of these names. Lillian Gregory.
My wife. My daughter asked me one day. She said, "Dad, those of y'all know me too brilliant. It just is how all they like to finish. I come out ghetto with no education. I'd be scared when somebody call me Dad." So she said, "Dad," she was like 7 years old. She said, "We doing this essay, and I had a choice to do it on space astronauts or do it on the family. So I decided to do it on family. And I asked Mother, can I interview you? And I said, yes. So she said, how did you propose to Mom? And I said, well, Michelle, me and your mother got married on February the 2nd, and you was born on March 28th. She said, oh, I think I'll do it on the astronauts, right?
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson, I knew him personally. I could not tell you 10 friends of his because I didn't know him from that level. I put him on a 30-day water fast and he went on a 30-day water fast. We can call Michael crazy and all of that if we want, but when Michael died, he owns, right to this minute, 50% of Sony Records, which is worth about $40 billion. Now, what he didn't know, but I got this from friends, British intelligence, that under the land in Netherlands is more oil than is in Kuwait. Okay? And so, as close as we was, I didn't want to get involved with that with him because I got it for some friends for me. He had the mind of a child. He asked me one day, why am I so strange? Why am I so weird? I said, well, you are that. But I said, how old are you? That's 10 years ago. I said, I'm 40 years old. And I said, well, Michael, you've been a star since you was 5 years old. Now, I can't use the word I used to him here. But you read it in. I said, Michael, you're 40, and since you're 5 years old, you never had to beg a woman for sex. See, think about that. I was married 40 years then. I said, I've been married to Lillian for 40 years. I'm still begging. And if I had to take off 77, if I had to count all the time that I begged for sex, I'd be about 15 years old now. But think about Michael. Think about never walking to school in the wintertime or in the summertime when it's hot, or being pressed for homework, or sitting in class nervous, wondering if you passing that. There's private tutors. Ain't no private tutor going to mess around when they know their job depends on that. So all of those normal things.
One more.
Room service. Room service. If you had room service, you eat at the restaurant. You know the strange thing about room service and restaurant, you can't smell the food. When you're at home, you smell the onions and the garlic, and you smell everything. So all his life, I told Michael one day, I'm surprised you get up in the middle of the morning, open up the refrigerator, and the light come on, you don't start doing your act. But he was that genius. But who wouldn't be if all they had to do was that? Huh? They didn't have to worry about money, huh? They didn't have to worry about this, they didn't have to worry about that. You know, and you ladies, you see, I don't know what pressure that put on us men. I tell people about Clarence Thomas. Now, some of y'all don't like Clarence Thomas, but you got to understand, Clarence Thomas, poor, black, rural, mama couldn't read or write. He had nappy hair, big jaws, wide nose. He looked real Negroic. And you black women wouldn't go to the prom with him. So he married him a white woman and hate us all. So I teach my granddaughter, just go to the prom with him.
Do we have a question? Yes.
Wait, she got to bring the mic down to me.
It's being recorded.
Okay. Thank you for being here. You mentioned that when you were hired by Hugh Hefner at the Playboy Club, that he listed you as a Negro comedian. Well, Chicago Humanities Festival listed you as an African American comedian in the bios. What's the difference
between African and African? Well, what is a Negro? That's the first thing. It's not something that I named me. And I don't understand why you black folks upset over the word nigger. You can never be a nigger.
You named your autobiography.
Nigger, yeah. Nigger. And if I had a child, it would be guaranteed right now at 77, God would bless me and give me a boy child that would grow up to be the greatest athlete in the history of the planet. Greatest runner, greatest distance runner, greatest hurdler, greatest football, basketball. I'd name him nigger, so y'all have to sit the radio and say, and nigger cuts to the left. And you better not say that nigger, because his name ain't that nigger. His nigger is nigger. And then all at once, the O.J. Simpson trial came through, and millions of people believe he did it, but he beat it because the way Mark Furman used the word nigger. So someone other than us decided it's going to be switched to the N-word, and black people went along with it. You think my Jewish brothers and sisters be stupid enough because some Germans was upset over Hitler, they changed the word swastika to the S in concentration camp to the C word? If you ask Jews all over the world, what did Jesse Jackson say to make you mad? He said, Town, not the H word. And that's what I love about if I had to be born over again, I want to be Irish. Why? Because they didn't call Irish nigger, they called them drunken fighting Irish. Okay, and what they did, they took the word drunken off and carried fighting Irish to Notre Dame. Okay.
Anybody over here? Questions? You have a mic. Questions?
Did you finish, y'all?
Blame.
Okay.
Thank you. So you don't have any problem with that word?
Huh?
You don't have any problem with that word?
Look, if I juiced the orange right now and threw it on you, if you're stupid enough to believe you're orange, then you something wrong here. Just because somebody throw that on me. If I say, all you hoes in here stand up, you get mad, you hoe, I didn't call your name. It's a game. Yeah. And look, when the gays was in the closet, they couldn't be cops, they couldn't be principals of schools, there were a lot of jobs they couldn't get. When they came out the closet, things changed. So how come coming out the closet is good for everybody except me? We're going to put nigger in the closet. America is mature enough to deal with that filthy word. It didn't come from another planet. It was created right here by homegrown American boys. Let me tell you something. When I was growing up as a child, there was a lot of people scared of their headaches. They didn't want to get checked because they might find out it's a brain tumor. Well, you keep lying and covering up stuff, and you die just like them old folks died that didn't want to hear the truth. Somewhere, you women didn't get to be pilots and president, all these men, because you hid the fact. You let them know we don't like what's going on. And when I think about, when I think if I was a white woman, I would just tear up the 15th Amendment. 15th Amendment gave black slave, ex-slave men the right to vote. And you didn't get it to 1920. And you came over on the boat with the boy. And so when you stop and think about it, no, you can never be a nigga just because somebody, all right, let me put it this way. You're a billionaire. Now go to Neiman Marcus and run up your account. Just because I call you a billionaire don't make you one. And the problem that bothers me, that anything negative you call, you can take that, but if I call you a billionaire, oh, you must be crazy. And so somewhere, that's why I have a problem when you hide anything. We are where we are now in America. We're a better nation now than we was before the king and the civil rights movement, because we was hiding. And now we got to get to the point. The paper I was looking for was this. It's this. They're gonna probably punch it up on the internet. UCLA Psychiatrist Department did a huge piece where they put a brain scan on 100 white folks. And it showed up on a huge screen, the brain. And they had all the segments: happiness, sadness, fear, fright. And out of them 100 white folks, they showed them pictures of their family. It's already been prearranged. Pictures of family, pictures of where they grew up, pictures of folks they knew when they were little children. And you could see this lovely, quiet tranquility. Then they showed them a picture of a black man. And 63% of them, fear damn near jumped through their skull, and they're not aware of this. Now, put that on hold. They took 100 black folks, hooked them up, did the same thing. Showed them a picture of a black man. 64% of them reacted the same way. You don't qualify to change this if you don't know what goes on in the human body. We played long enough on this emotional crap. Now let's sit down and bring in some honest folks, not some old people that want to trick scientists. I'm in Budapest not too long ago, and they talking about climate change. And all these brilliant people standing up and they saying, well, this scientist said it's not, this scientist said not. So I just got down in my ghetto drag. I said, well, I don't know nothing about, climate change. All I know is this. I know that there's glaciers been there for millions of years. They melted. Case over. But a lot of y'all feel like you got to be smart and all that kind of stuff. You black folks, some white folks want to find out what was in my head. They read all my stuff. So they bring me over $40,000. They just want to hear. Mr. Gregory, what's some of the pressing things you have on your mind today? Now I'm gonna tell them, right? I said, well, I'm trying to find out what happened to albinos after high school. You know what I mean? Every high school got albinos, then they disappear. I don't know where they go. The albino ain't never raped a woman. They'd be easy to find. I've been in the military, no albinos, huh? I work the audience like this all the time, no albinos. I'm on the plane every day, no albinos. What happened to albinos after high school? They couldn't have it. They said, well, what's the next thing that's bothering me? I said, I'm 76 years old, and I've never seen a baby pigeon. I don't know nobody that knows somebody that's seen a baby pigeon. And when you see pigeons, they're always sitting up on electric wires. Where did they sit before they was electric?
Question.
We have time for 2 more questions.
Questions, okay. Recently in the news, there was a judge in the Deep South who refused to marry interracial couples on the excuse that their children, like Tiger Woods, would have major problems. If you were here in the audience today, what would you like to say to him?
To them, to who? No, what do you mean? No, say that again.
What would you say to the judge?
To the judge?
He eventually resigned.
He resigned, yeah.
Yes.
He didn't resign.
But if you were here right now,
he embarrassed the whole state and the whole nation. Huh? You know, there's a whole lots of things that embarrass us that we at war. We got a democracy now that we expose to the whole world, and this is just not some thug on the corner. This is a judge with that attitude. But a whole lots of Americans got that attitude. And we tolerate it because you can hide your feelings. You don't have to come out. You know, the dumber you are, you know, it's like, why do you think they put all these swastikas on Jewish temples? Because that dumb white boy, he can't recognize a Jew. He see him coming out there, it's another white dude. Huh? But that's his church over there. He put swastikas and all that stuff on. But once you flush it out, he's not the only one. Suppose he would have gone on and married him, he still felt that way. To keep his job. That's why we got to work and flush this whole thing out. But let me tell you the sad part. It's a weak clap. I want y'all to hear this good. Most black folk, sometimes we make mistakes, can recognize a racist white the same way you can recognize my blackness. We act like we don't. When I'm with white folks when I was growing up, my ears say they're effing Jews. You feel that way about somebody that white, I know how you feel about me. When all at once, when you refer to my sister as gal. So there's little things. But I say this to say this, that I believe that there would come a day I could walk through an airport and they could have a camera that could protect a bottle of water in my bag. And I didn't know it was there. When I was a little boy, people didn't know nothing about brain tumors. They thought it was migraine headaches. They hadn't invented the machines to go in there and see the tumor, then test it to see if it was malignant. And when I was a little boy, when they gave you brain surgery, they took a saw and they cut your skull open. Now they go up through your nose. Huh? That's how fast it's going. So DNA didn't just get invented. When we discovered it, DNA been here since day one. But look at all the people that died and been to jail wrong because the invention went. Now hear me good. There will come a day that they can run a test. Right now, when you get out the car and they test you for driving drunk or drunk, you think they need the blood? They got a flashlight they can shine over there and pick up your alcohol level. Okay? There will come a day when these brilliant scientists, not born now, will be able to test you and tell if you're racist or sexist, if you hate Jews, if you hate black folks. Why? To save their companies from lawsuits. Huh? All right? Okay? All about the money. It's just like 100 years ago, most folks didn't know what cancer was. Huh? Didn't know what a heart attack was. They existed. And so we're going to be into a whole new world now because this thing has become global. And that's why, hey, when you go outside this country and you hear them talking about the ugly Americans, they ain't talking about black folks, and they should, because some of us just as ugly as you. And I behave. All of that is going to have to change. That's how Obama have changed things around the world. That's why we had 15 minutes to try to get stuff right. And when he went to that first G8 meeting in London, and if you've been following the G8 meetings and the G20 meetings all over the world for the last 20 years, white children have showed up, and whoever's the president, they burn him in effigy. You've always seen it, except in London when Obama was sworn in, and 2 weeks later he went to London. They didn't hang him because they sensitive to how many black folks been lynched. Now, how can foreigners be this sensitive, but we can't at home? And you drop it, and y'all talking about the stimulus package and the medical bill. We leaving this for their children. You ain't left nothing for your children that they're gonna have to pay for, like a racist attitude and a new world that ain't gonna tolerate it and can test you to see if it's there. That's what we have time for. One more.
So, one last quick question.
I'm freezing. In the South, there was a young lady who went to Walmart. When she walked in the door, she put her daughter in line. She went and got her belongings, which I do that too. And when she got there back in line, they arrested her for cutting the line, and they're now trying to give her 15 years for cutting the line in Walmart.
I've listened. The case is real. What city was that in?
I can't think of the city, but they've been asking for this. Has been going on for 2 years, I found out, and they've been asking for the closed caption of what actually went on in Walmart, and nobody, the district attorney, will not supply it. At first, they wanted to do a plea bargain with her, and she refused to do it, and so that's when they decided they were going to give her 15 years.
Let me say this. And normally, I wouldn't use this as an example. But some of y'all in here know about this sheriff in that little town in Texas who put hundreds of black men in jail by framing them with drugs. Some of y'all know what this daily machine did to black men, and if it wasn't for that white dude, that investigative reporter that talked about how they tortured them.
The John Burge case.
Yes, okay, and found out how many of them. So it happens all over. Every now and then they get caught. Have y'all heard about that little town in Pennsylvania, all white, where all them judges just got busted because they found out they was in cahoots with the white companies in New York that build the jails, and then they wanted to build youth center jails. And all these this one white girl said, well, I had 5 months. How long you been here? I've been here 5 years. And so if they do that to white, what are they going to do to us? And you must remember one thing that I never learned until I went south in the civil rights movement. In the South, they don't care how close you get as long as you don't get too big. That was proved by slavery. I'm living on the same piece of land he lived on. He called his a whole called my plantation. I was living in a shack, he's living in a big house. We were living together. Up north, they don't care how big I get as long as I don't get too close. Okay, same. Huh? Now, let me show you how it works. I couldn't understand in the civil rights movement why them white folks was blowing up churches, killing black folks and white folks in the struggle, killing 2 civil rights workers, 2 white and 1 black. And I realized why. They lived close enough to me in the South to say, if you give them niggas the right to vote, they'll be in the White House. They was right. They was right. Huh? And y'all can sit here with all your little cuteness, but imagine if I waved the magic wand and all you black and white folks in here become dirt poor white folks with no education, can't read, can't write, living in the poor of the land. And up until Obama, you could always say, well, at least I ain't no nigga. You can't say that no more. Imagine what they're going through. And we just came out of New York looking at some research, and for the first time in the history, first time this year, that 50% of all women that was killed by their husbands or boyfriends. This is, see, you got the economy thing, plus you got this projection thing, and then all at once, if y'all would just do me a favor, go to the store this week, go to the dog food section, and buy a can of Alpo. Just don't look at it, buy it to show your friends. They taking the dog off Alpo because more human beings, particularly white folks, is eating more dog food than dogs. Huh? Now, the pride, I don't want to talk about it. I want to go through. So this whole mix, and I'm telling y'all, if this thing don't change, I mean, we got one set of rules, huh, for black folks, another set of rules for white folks, another set of rules for women. When I looked at Jeremiah Wright, when they were saying, well, how come you didn't leave the church? And the boy, like I said, he's just kind and nice because he asked me that. I'd have said, well, I didn't see no Catholic priests and nuns leaving the church when the priest got caught. So why I got to be different? Huh? Hillary asked the question. I got on the radio and said, Miss Hillary, whatever Jeremiah was doing, he wasn't breaking the law, but your husband got caught doing it in the White House. That was a violation of the law. And he insulted and he shamed you and your daughter around the world. You didn't leave him. So the rules changed. Now, let me just close with this. The question you asked is getting a lot of attention. And something will happen. The reason the justice of the peace or the judge had to step down is getting attention. Getting attention. Oh, lots of stuff happened that we don't know about. The three people, that's the cause of slavery in the Civil War before Lincoln was one. Reading. I just actually his award for Bill Cosby. Huh? Mark Twain. Y'all don't know who Mark Twain is. Mark Twain was born on Haley's Comet that comes every 75 years. 75 years later, he died on Haley's Comet. What did he do? He wrote these books, and unbeknown to most folks, he was the first writer that refused to write with that old English style. Huh? He wrote Southern, Midwestern America. And when he wrote Huck Finn, Nigger Jim, if you don't understand his intelligence and where he was coming from, you see, before he said Nigger Jim, all black folks was nigger. Come here, nigger. And when that white boy said nigger, all y'all looked. Because nigger didn't have a name. I was Cochapee's nigger. And then Mark Twain came through for the first time in the history of America and gave nigger a name. This nigger, his name is Jim. It's the first time that ever happened. And if you go back and read Huck Finn, you notice when they're sitting on the riverbank fishing, it's the first conversation of a black and a white as human beings. He wasn't talking to him like you own me, and he wasn't putting the worms on his fish hook. And when the white boy caught the fish, he didn't debone it. They was two human beings. Now, number two, Harriet Beecher Stowe. See, we forget that 94% of white folks in America never owned slaves. So they didn't know what slaves went through until she wrote Uncle Tom's Cabin, and them white folk got to read what Uncle Tom went through, and the atmosphere changed. Okay, so you got a black man that has a name for the first time, then she comes around and tell you who didn't know. And then when you go way back down before that, John Brown. Y'all talk about heroes if you want. John Brown. See, I didn't know Harper's Ferry. The raid took place on October the 16th, 150 years ago, this 16th October. 18 months before the Civil War. John Brown was a preacher. Y'all talking about some radical Islamic? He woke up one day and said, God told me to free him. And he got him a little posse together, a little group, including his sons, and raided Harper's Ferry. It was one of the 2 places in America where the government stored ammunition. And he went there where there was 100,000 guns. He said, we're going to get these guns and give them to the slaves. How 16 people going to get? But the fear was so frightening. They got him. They killed most of them. His 2 sons shot him, gave him a trial, sentenced him to die, and they hanged him on December the 2nd. And this coming December 2nd, I'm going to be at the very spot, Charlestown, West Virginia, where he died. Just to say to his spirit, we got you. Let me tell you what happened. As he walked out of the jail to go be hanged, he slipped a note to the newspaper reporter that read, for what you're doing to the black people, you will pay for it with your blood. 16 months later, the Civil War. And when them Union soldiers was fighting, what was they singing as they marched to the front to kill or be killed? John Brown. That's how important he was. You don't know it now because that part is here. If you go to Washington, D.C., go to Lincoln Memorial. He's known all over the world for the Emancipation Proclamation. There's people that know of Lincoln and never knew he was president. If you look at that huge Lincoln Monument, not one word up there about the Emancipation Proclamation. Okay? Only in America. Only in America. And so, have this thing changed? You see, I don't need to be validated by nobody. There's a universal God force. My validation's already in. Not what I can sit here and tell you. I only think I got one bad blemish on my thing. I don't pay my bills. I don't know if the real God's into that. If it is, then I got some explaining to do. But I don't know if y'all remember that tree fell on my car, squashed it down, right? And everybody thought I was dead. Right. And I got out the hospital and they ran all the checks and the press was there with a huge picture of the car. And they said, Mr. Gregory, how do you explain that you're not dead? Well, they thought I was going to do what most Negroes do, which ain't nothing wrong. Jesus, I didn't say that. I owe white folk too much money. Just my Neiman Marcus account. Now, I say that to say this. 40 years ago, when I'm running in Mississippi for my life, did I ever believe that I could stand here tonight and tell you in Mississippi tonight, a black man's head of Mississippi State Troopers, black woman's head of social services? Did I ever think I would see today that white folks would ask me to comment on white folk problems? I'm coming back from Europe 3 weeks ago, and CNN's there, and Kennedy. I mean, Gregory, you think we'll ever catch Bin Laden? I say, we? I ain't looking for it. I'm still trying to find out who my daddy is. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're watching The Breakfast Club. Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the God. We are The Breakfast.
Peace and love. Oh, that was oh, I don't know if you're still here. I'm sorry. I'm I very seldom get back. Let's see. I always do appreciate the way you pull the genealogy together. I have a lot of dates and names for mine. Hi, Lady T. I think we were supposed to try to arrange a time. What he's saying is true. My father is, yeah, I just picked that to listen to. Yeah, that was good. I hadn't seen that. Was Dick Gregory with a Chicago writer for Chicago Sun Times. Let's see. That was that was a fundraiser. It says I don't know that's not that. This was ChicagoHumanities.org. Chicago Humanities Festivals. Okay, I'm gonna read this, but it's Laura Washington, which is a writer for the Chicago Sun Times. This was January, published in January of 2010. It says it's hard. This is just in the byline. You know what? Put the I'm actually gonna put the YouTube uh here. So we got yeah. I'm in a hard place with this particular Brown family, just trying to like I'm just going showing like the painstaking part of going through the DNA matches and just looking at matches and shares until you see a pattern and how to do it, how I do it, my method, and it seems to work. Eventually, I find people. So this was the Gregory interview. I'm just putting it in the chat. This should be the link. Yeah, he's interesting. The way he answers questions, you have to think. So I wonder if I never looked, but I wonder if the YouTube, uh, oops, I did it wrong actually. I wonder if it becomes selectable, like if I went to if I rewatch this and could I select it from the chat? But yeah, that was a festival. I am gonna read that though, although I'm gonna post this the right way. I'm gonna read the description. I never know when someone is gonna join me, but I always appreciate company. So thank you for joining me. So I want to go back one day and look. So much stuff to do. So that's actually the right. Yeah, I had it wrong. So you say you have a lot of dates. Let's see. You have a lot of dates and names, but oh, sure. I think when you emailed me before, let me put that. I will. I will help. Only thing I don't do is and I think I said enough is do I don't work doing genealogy and precision. I think that we had maybe spoke before. Oh, just said maybe saw you in the chat before, but email me. I'm gonna check my emails and see if anyone has, because I will help. I'll set up a private stream where we can do what I'm doing right now, except it would be private. It wouldn't be public. And then you could share your screen and I can see what you're doing and um, help like that. But what I don't do is I don't like just do genealogy for people. I do genealogy with people because it is definitely a passion for me and not work. I couldn't like do it as for pay or like like I would take donations just for encouragement, I guess, but it's just too much of a passion for me, and I can't as much passion as someone has and desire to want to find information and reconnect with people and you know what energy goes into that. It's how I give myself and time. So if someone's working really hard and they really really getting in and trying, and I'm with you, I'll do it. I'll help the best I can. But the majority of what people have to do to me is actually very spiritual. I think that our ancestors know that we're looking for them somehow, and I believe that they are, it's our intuition. Uh, I believe that our ancestors are somehow connected to this process of finding them, and maybe of course, some we might not find, but we might leave the mission for our loved ones, our grandchildren and children to pick up on at some point. Maybe it's not for us to find, maybe it's for them to find, you know. So sometimes when I get into, like, I'm in a really tight place right now, I can't get anywhere. It appears uh, with the connections. I mean, I got somewhere, and I'm having a Zoom meet really soon, which is why I am going through this process of looking at the DNA matches and shared matches over and over, so that when I see them again, when the names pop up, uh I remember, oh, I saw that person, oh, I remember this about that, I remember this person had a tree and it looked like to me they were in a specific place in West Virginia. The screenshots, the things that I saved to my shoebox, all of those things started tying together. The more I look, the more I see. Now when I have this Zoom meet, some of those people have taken the DNA test. I just spoke with my mother's great grandfather's brother's son last week. And I will be in a Zoom meet with him and his daughter and other family members that I connected with. We clearly see how we're connected, but we didn't know each other. We were disconnected from this brown lineage. But they know some of each other. They know some of the brothers and sisters were separated and spoke of each other and didn't know. They have obituaries. So I want to be very prepared to ask them, hey, do you match this person? What are your shared matches? Or will you share your DNA file with me? or we could do it here on Zoom where you could just let's look at it together. But the more I look, the more prepared I am that when we go in this meeting and you're dealing with people who are in their 80s or people who, have maybe not so much computer literacy, that I am able to navigate without thinking so much about things that I haven't even seen yet. I'm familiar with what we're navigating and we're looking at. I'm familiar with what the shared matches should be looking like, which direction is it leading. Are we looking at double matches? Are we looking at a match that is a brown match, but it is still showing some other shared matches that I've seen with other lineages? Those kinds of questions. And issues. So I'm just showing my work, just freestyling. But I'm appreciating you, Lady T. If you come back to this stream, if you're gone, if you happen to listen to this, thank you for joining me. Thank you for being present and um, saying something in the chat. And with that, I am going to say peace and love. I've been on a sort of a roll because I'm kind of trying to show as much of this process with the brown lineage as I can. So this is how I do it, in the middle of the night, early in the morning. It could be just any old time. And so I have to get in where I fit in. Peace and love.